Hello everyone, welcome to another video. So today we are going to discuss how to getting started with Spring Boot and create your first REST API. So first we will discuss what is Spring Boot and how it is better than other frameworks used in Java. So Spring Boot is one of the most popular frameworks for building Java based web applications. It simplifies the process of creating production ready applications with minimal configurations required. So if you see, the Spring Boot is built on the top of widely used Spring framework and is designed to simplify the bootstrapping and development of new Spring applications. Now, why one should learn Spring Boot is the main question I usually hear. So first reason is the rapid development. Since you don't have to do manual configurations, everything is already available. So that is the benefit of having Spring Boot, so that you can create easily more applications. Then second is creating microservices ready architecture. So if you are all aware of microservices, Spring Boot is the one which is used from Java side to create microservices based architectures. Today what we are going to do is we are going to see how we can create Spring Boot applications, and then how we can create a new REST API in our Spring Boot application and call it from different platforms like UI or Postman. So let's get started. So first step is to log into this URL, which is our start.spring.io. We usually call it as Spring Initializr, from where you can create a Spring Boot application. So if you see on the left hand side, we have few options like selecting the Java. If you want to select Java, Kotlin also, and then we have a build type of the project, which is our Maven in this case. Then we have Spring Boot versions. Currently it is automatically selected as 3.5.4. Then we have few metadata of the project, where you can have your group name, the artifact name, the project name, the description of the project which you are going to create, and the packaging name. So this packaging name we'll be using to create different segregation of classes. And then we have two type of packaging here. So if you remember of Spring applications, we used to create war files, and those war files are manually being deployed into our Tomcat servers. Now in Spring Boot, Tomcat is already integrated in the application, so we usually don't have to do that deployment separately. We can do it in the application itself. So I'm going to create a jar file here, and the version I'm going to select is Java 17. Other than this, in the right hand side we have dependencies section. So these dependencies are so-called libraries in Spring Boot which are ready-made available for us to use features. Like if you want to connect to database, you can use JPA. We are going to simply use Spring Web. Since I'm going to create a simple REST API, so I'll be using simple Spring Web as my dependency. And I'll show you where exactly you can see this dependency in the application. Now to run this application, what we have to do is, you see this generate button here, we need to click on it and a zip file will be downloaded here for us. Now what I will do is, I will go to my folder. If you see, this is my downloads folder, and I have this zip file already available. So what you need to do is, you have to copy this file and put it into your workspace. So in the desktop I have created one folder, Spring Boot, first Spring Boot project. Under this I am going to paste this zip file, and then once paste is completed, you have to extract it. So if you see here, this is my demo folder which got extracted from my zip file. Now I don't need this, you can simply remove. I can just open and show it to you. So this is the project structure of my demo application. Now next step is, once you have this ready in your workspace folder, what you can do is, you can use your IDE to start the application, and you can use the IDE to start this application in the same workspace folder. So I have created first Spring Boot project, which is my workspace I have selected here, and I'm going to launch it now. So here I'm using Eclipse IDE. You have options to use IntelliJ or VS Code or whatever is more suitable to you. Then here, if you see in Eclipse IDE, we have an option for import projects. You can click on this, and under Maven section, we have a section for, or option for existing Maven projects. You can click on this. this window will come, this import window will come, which will allow you to browse the file which you exactly wanted to import. Once you click on this, you see this demo folder. It is already there. It has pom.xml, src and other files. So I'm going to open this folder itself. You see, if you see here like this pom.xml and something.jar, it means that it is ready for import now. So I'll click on this finish button. Now if you see, my project is loading in my IDE. Okay, so once it is loaded successfully, on the right hand side my project already loaded, but once you start importing it, on the right bottom side you can see the percentile of import. So that also matters. Until unless that is 100%, you should not be touching the project. So once that is done, you will be getting a project structure like this. Now I'll give a brief on what this project is and what is the structure of this project and what each file stands here. Starting from down, if you see, we have a pom.xml file. So if you remember, I showed you one option here where I am adding some dependencies. So once you add those dependencies, these will be appearing in your pom.xml file like this. I added Spring Web, it is there. Now suppose if you want to add JPA or Hibernate, what we have to do is we just have to select it from here, and same dependencies will come here in the dependencies tag, under dependency tag. So this file contains all the information which I used while creating my application, like Spring Boot version, my group ID, my artifact ID, my version, then my name of the project, my project description, and all those things. Other than this, coming down, we have the Java version which we are using to build this project. Then Spring Boot libraries are automatically appearing here. Now there are few prerequisites to run this application. Okay, I'll tell you one by one, which is first thing is our Java JDK 17 or later. Second is Maven installed. Since I am using this IDE, it has integrated Maven, so I don't have to manually install it again. And then of course a IDE, which in this case I am using my Eclipse IDE. You can use IntelliJ and VS Code. So this is the dependencies file. Other than this, I'll close this. If you see, we have two more folders here: src main resource, src main Java. So src main Java is the package. So if you see, we have a package com.example.demo which I showed you in Spring Initializr. So basically under src main Java, we create packages, the categories of the Java files which you are going to put. Like there are few Java files which you are used to connect to database. We are going to put them in a separate package. Then there are few files where we used to write REST APIs. We are going to put them in a separate package. So those kind of categorizations happens under this src main Java. Then becomes src main resources. So these are basically used for storing the configuration and relevant files. So for configurations, like I said, we have an application.properties file here. If you want to connect to a database from your backend application, we have to mention all the DB connectivities in the application.properties file. So this properties file is basically used for all those kind of configurations which we are planning or trying to integrate in our Java application. Now getting started with the first package, we have com.example.demo. So this is a basic application already got created for us. First Java file. So if you see in Java, the starting point of an application is the main function, which is our public static void main string arguments. So if you know little bit on Java, you should be able to understand that in any Java application, this particular function, main function, is the starting point. Now, since we are using Spring Boot framework here, so what we are going to do is, what we are actually did is, or the Spring Boot actually did is, it has created a class for us, and it has annotated it with Spring Boot application here. Now if you see, you are seeing this red mark here with the error. It says that it is kind of not available at this moment. What I will do is, I will simply right click on this project and you go to run option, and I can click on Maven install. What Maven install will do is, whatever files we are already having in our application, or the dependencies, whatever we are having in the application, those will be automatically downloaded and included in our application. So if you see, if I show you this console, see it started scanning the project. It started downloading all the Maven repositories, which we have mentioned in our pom.xml file, as I showed you earlier under dependency tag. So it started downloading everything. Okay, then other things are also like package, whatever is required for Spring Boot as part of building. So it downloaded all those things, and finally it is telling me the build is successful. Now if you see, still I am seeing this red line. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on this, and we have an option for Maven and then update project, and from here you can select force update. So this is a one-time activity which you might have to do, so that the latest changes are included already in the application. Since this is my first application which I recently created, I have to follow these steps. You might not be able to or you don't have to do it basically. But if you see these kind of errors, you just simply right click, do a Maven install, and then right click, update project, Maven update, select force, and then you can update the project. Now if you see that, I don't see any kind of error in my application. So this is one part. So as I mentioned earlier, at the Spring Boot application is what we are reading as part of application startup. So whenever from command line or wherever we are starting this application, this is a file which we are going to trigger. Now I will show you how to create a REST API. So if you see, this main class I'm not going to touch. What I will be doing is I'll be creating another package here. Like right click, and then you can create a new, and then package you can select. Now the naming convention has to be very much fine, since we have already used our base package as com.example.demo. Then here I have to make this package name as com.example.demo.controller. I'll create controller. So here if you see, this much is coming from my base package com.example.demo. On top of it I have written .controller package, controller name in my package. So if you see, currently it is an empty package. It is coming like this. Now what I will do is I will right click on this package and click on new, and then a class. Now here if you see, I am going to create a controller class where I will be defining all my REST APIs. So basically the REST APIs, wherever the declaration happens, it has to happen in some controller class. So that is a basic flow of application. Now I will be creating one controller here, which is like hello controller. So this is a sample name I took. I used camel casing here, and we can click on this finish button. One class will be generated under this package. Now if you see, the package color has changed. It has one file. The main file has demo application. We should not touch this application for any kind of changes unless it is required. And so for whatever classes we are going to create under a separate package. So here I have created a hello controller.java. If you see, I just created a class. All the declarations are already done. The package name, which is allocated from where, under which package name this class has to be there. Then we have some keywords like public class and hello controller. It means that the class is declared as public, can be accessible all over the application, and the class keyword is used to declare this as a class. Similarly, we have some extra classes, interfaces, and all those things. You can do it. Now coming to the REST APIs, our first focus is to create a controller class. Now there are two options, @controller or @REST controller. Both you can use as an annotation. I am going to use REST controller. Okay, so basically what REST controller does is, it is used for creating REST APIs, basic REST APIs. @controller is used for creating normal APIs. Here if you see, you have to write it down like this, and you just have to hover your mouse to that particular part where you can see the thread option, and see, this is telling you that there is a fix available by importing this REST controller. I'll click on this import button, and this is got imported. In REST APIs we have few methods like get, post, put, and delete, which are used for our CRUD operations: create, read, update, and delete. So what we are going to do is, we are going to create a read operation, which is our get operation here. Okay, so first we have to declare the path of this file, so that the route from which will be used to access these particular APIs. So for that we use request mapping. So basically this request mapping is used to mention where you want to access your API or what will be the link to your API. So here what I will be doing is I will first import this request mapping. Now if you see, I mentioned hello here. So the URL of the API will become like localhost 8080 slash hello slash something something, whatever we are going to declare in our get mapping. Now this first level of declaration is done for that URL, for that mapping of that API. Second level I am going to do here in method. Now if you see, we have multiple operations as I mentioned: get, post, put and delete. I am going to use get here. So the syntax of using get is you have to click write @get mapping in Pascal, where first letter of every word is capital. So once get mapping is done here, you can again mention some URL here. So I mentioned hello here, I'll put it as API, and here I will mention slash hello. So this will be my another route. So now the URL for my API will become localhost 8080 slash API slash hello will be my URL. I will show you how to access that. Now under this tag, I will be declaring a normal function. Okay, like suppose this. So this is my normal function. Now if you see, this get mapping is coming in red, underlined red. I will import this get mapping first. I'm getting another error. It says that you have mentioned a return type as string here, but you are not returning anything. So this will be resolved as we write something in the controller. Now what I will do is I will return here, return so this is my syntax which I have written. It's a simple string that I am returning from this particular file. Now what I will do is I will simply run this application to show how you can access this API as well as how you can get this response. So to start the application, what we have to do is we have to either open it, or we can simply right click on the main demo application and then go to run statement and then run as Java application. Again I am repeating, we have to go to the main application where our @Spring Boot application is written. We have to right click on the file, run as, second option Java application. So once you do that, you can see here the application is started. So this is the Spring terminal, a Spring Boot terminal, where you see all the activities which are happening as part of running the application. So here you see it says Tomcat started on port 8080 with context path this, started application in 0.728 second, meaning my application is already available and my API is ready to exposed, ready to be consumed by Postman, UI, or whatever third party tool you wanted to use. Now what I will do is I will open a tool. I am using Insomnia. You can use Postman or Bruno or whatever you like to access your APIs. So as I told you earlier, my routing path will be for this particular API is localhost 8080, which is my base URL. I will explain it in a minute, and then it is going to be mapped with slash API with this request mapping and then slash hello. So how the final URL will look something like this: http slash localhost 8080. So localhost is here to mention that I'm running this application locally. Once you deploy this particular application into web, it will be replaced by your domain name which you want to set. 8080 is the port where this application is particularly running. Then slash API is the first routing I set in my controller class as @request mapping like this. And second is my endpoint for that API, specific API like hello. So suppose if I want to create another API like buy or get some data, so my last endpoint or the last route will change here. Now if you see, all these things are already available. If I click on the send button, see I'm getting this response, hello Spring Boot. So this Spring Boot, hello Spring Boot, I'm getting from my this response. So this is how we are calling APIs. Now this is a simple string that we are returning from here. We also have options to return big method bodies as well. Okay, like suppose if I want to return a big JSON, so this is a normal string, but in actual real-time cases, what we do is we used to create, response bodies in JSON. Okay, so I will show you one more example. Get mapping slash greet. Now this will be my another API which I will be using to expose my or to get my response in JSON format. Now here if you see, I'll create one more function. Yeah, so here if you see, I'm using this map object as a response type. Map is a type of storage where we are storing data in key and value format. So JSON is nothing but a map of this same format which I am declaring here, where we are storing data in key and value format. Now here I am mentioning the data as string as the key and object as value here. First I am going to declare a variable, okay, like this, string comma object status map is equals to new yeah. So here what I did was I am initializing this variable with my linked hash map. Now you can do it with hash map, normal hash map as well, but the problem with normal hash map is that if you are using normal hash map, it will not maintain the sequence of adding the items in our list or in our JSON, whereas linked hash map maintains those kind of sequences. So we prefer to use linked hash map where we need the exact sequence of order where we are adding the data. So now if you see, what I will be doing is I'll add an object here, and the put command is used to create any kind of message here. Suppose I want to create a success message. Login successful. I know it is irrelevant, still I am using this. Another item I will add. So I have added two different messages in my JSON response. Now I'll show you how these messages will look in my response body. What I need to do is I just have to return this simple status map here. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this application again. I have saved all the changes and I'll be running this application again. Okay, now if I open that again, if you see, if I click on hello, it will give me a normal string here, hello comma spring boot. But when I change it to greet, my another API, see, it is giving me a response in JSON format. As I mentioned, JSON has a key and value pairs, so it has got success as a key and login successful as a message, the value for that particular key. Similarly, message and welcome to Spring Boot. So this is how to create a Spring Boot application and write down your first REST APIs. If you need more information on this, you can go to my blog. So this is my blog which I have written on the same thing, where you can get a better understanding of every step that I am following here. So if you see, I mentioned why to use Spring Boot, what is the benefit over others, what will be the prerequisites, how to start this application, and what will be the project structure, then how you can create a simple REST controller class, then how to run this particular application. I have used terminal and I showed you how to do it in IDE as well. then your messages, which I'm just now showing you here, same thing I've implemented, and then the conclusion. And this is what I've mentioned clearly, whatever steps I showed you here in this demo. So please visit this link, and getting started with the Spring Boot becomes very easy for you. I'll include this link also in my video description so that you should be able to access it smoothly. Please go through this link and try of your own. If you face an issue, you can put comment in my comment box so that I'll be able to see and respond properly. Thank you so much. Please share, like, and subscribe my channel. Thank you.